Thank you. First, I would like to thank the team at Resco for allowing me and inviting me to speak in front of such a great audience. My name is Janko Svetlik. As you heard, I work at Accenture. I also work at Avanade, so we can meet at a bar and I will explain what's the difference, if you wish. And today I will talk about how we were approached by our customer, Howard de Walden Estates, to help them build a facility inspection solution. So Howard de Walden Estate is managing the properties in central London with the estimated worth of £4.7 billion. And they have, I think, around 800 properties to manage, which fall into categories like medical, educational, residential, offices, retail stores, things like that. So it's basically really a lucrative portfolio that they have. As mentioned, it's located in central London between the Regent's Park and the Hyde Park. And basically, the initial challenge was to ensure that when the new tenant moves in or the old tenant leaves the property, we need to perform an inspection. Meaning that, let's assume you're leaving the flat or you're coming into the flat, you want to make sure that everything is in order, that everything is checked, that the security, the doors, windows, everything is covered. And of course, our goal was to use some smart solutions, so the Resco was the first choice for us when we suggested this to a customer. So this is the high-level process. Usually, first step, you identify the issues, then you collect the data, as we saw with inspections, you can take pictures, you can document it, write it down, use the AI basically to document what's the issue. Next step is to decide on action. What does that mean? It means that we need to decide whether we want to create a task, do we want to create a case, do we want to create a case to resolve the issue. Formal completion of inspection is the next step, so we sign it off, maybe send a report to a customer, to a tenant, and then last step, but maybe most important, is processing the answers. For this project, we set our goals to make these inspections easy to perform, to make them consistent, meaning I will explain that the structure of those inspections for all the types of facilities is standardized so that a person inspects, I don't know, the medical facilities or inspects the retail or residential, that basically those inspections have a consistent structure and are easy to fill in. And last goal that we set was to make them actionable, which means that basically the steps that come after that, creation of a task and cases, is coming from the data that we collected. So all data needs to be actionable. So how did we do that? Maybe when we received, first step was, of course, we received a list of questions that the customer wanted to have in those questionnaires. And we noticed that in a lot of cases, they were inconsistent. What does that mean? So sometimes answering yes to a question meant that we need to take an action, that we need to remediate the issue. In other cases, answering yes meant no action is necessary. In the next slide, this is an example. So this is a question from the category of fire safety. And in the case of the first question, you see that if we ask, are there any flammable materials present? If we answer yes, we need to resolve the issue. We need to remove this fire hazard. In the second question, are all emergency fire exits clear and accessible? If we answer yes to that, it means actually no action is necessary. And this inconsistency was presenting a problem for us to automatically process these answers, but also for the users when filling in the inspection, because they were a bit confused sometimes, like, oh, okay, is this, do I need to take an action on this? Don't need to take an action? So what we did, basically, we standardized the wording. We collected the question that we thought needed some rephrasing. And basically, as you can see, in the second case, we rephrase the question, is any emergency fire exit blocked or inaccessible? Now, if answer to any of those questions is yes, we know that we need to take an action. And I will explain later how this helped us then with the question processing. So, the structure of an inspection. Usually, each inspection has some standard structure. You know, if you're making an inspection, you have some kind of header. In that header, you put like a date when you do the inspection, who is the person doing the inspection, some general data about the location, maybe a tenant, etc. And also, you usually have some kind of footer with a signature, you know, for the official sign-off. Please take a note of the logical names of on the right side that you can see. What we basically did, we realized that those questions come in so-called, we call them groups of questions. So there's a group of questions regarding the fire hazard. There's a group of questions regarding the safety, you know, are doors locked or not? Group of questions regarding roofing, plumbing, maybe cleanliness, and basically other groups, up to 20 groups even for some questionnaires. So what we did basically, we tried to standardize this form, and we created a questionnaire which has question group header. Question group header is just the one question which says, did I found an issue in this group? If the answer to question group header is yes, then we dynamically show a repeatable group with the standardized questions. Resco, of course, as already mentioned, allows us to use the smart rules to show or hide or make some questions required. So we use this to create these repeatable groups. And what is important, that the prefix of every question in that repeatable group was matching the prefix of a question group header. Maybe you can already guess that we have chose to store the answers as records, not as JSON, because customer explicitly actually asked for that, because they had some issues with processing JSON. They wanted actually to see records. So basically, questions, the answers actually are stored as records, which each answer having the prefix that corresponds to the group. This is important later. I'll explain why. Also, basically, when editing this, we used heavily the feature of Resco to use the snippets. So we defined the snippets for that repeatable group and just drag and drop it. Or even what we did is basically we took the XML of the questionnaire, exported it, and edited it directly. So basically, we just copied the question group header and repeatable group and renamed the prefix and then just rephrased the question. So this was the result. So this is the questionnaire editor. You see a group, and which is visible only when the answer is yes. If you choose yes, then a repeatable group is shown. You see the arrow pointing to basically a visibility condition that shows the repeater when the parent group is answered. This is how the application, this is a demo, it's not the actual live app, but the questionnaire is actually the real one. So we start from the location. Okay, I'll explain. So we choose a location. That means it's hierarchical, so you can have a location and sub-locations. Here we are doing the inspection for the whole building. We choose the questionnaire, and you see the header is already pre-filled. And below the header are question group headers for different categories. Let's say we choose that there is an issue with the cleanliness, and we choose the function location to more closely specify what needs to be cleaned. We can take pictures, we can put a description here. From what I saw in previous demo, I will definitely improve this. And then you can also choose to create a task and assign action to a person. What is important to understand here, we are not creating anything yet. This is just collecting the data. So we are not processing and generating necessary records. We are just collecting the data. Yeah. And this is a repeatable group, so basically we can click plus to add a new repeater if there's a new issue. We can also choose to create a new function location. Sometimes happens that the inspector finds that there's an issue on some particular place which is not documented, so he can choose to create a new location to document where this issue occurs. So next step was processing the answers. Well, processing the answers was possible, I would say, in two ways. We could do it directly on the mobile client. So Resco is a powerful tool and allows us to generate records to link the data directly after the questionnaire is completed on a device. But we can also process the data on the server side. So what do you think, given what's written here, what do you think, which option did we choose? Who's for the client? Okay. Who's for the server? Yep. Server wins, actually. We did it on server. One of the main reasons was that we needed to use the data not available on a client. It's historical data for many years to check, let's say, a history of inspection for that location. But also one important thing is that the error handling could be centralized, because if error happens on a client, we need to ship the logs. Sometimes, we need to ask Resco to help us understanding that. So in this case, we actually choose the Power Automate flows to process the data. And actually, this also aligned with the architecture of a customer, because they were already familiar with the Power Automate. So this is the simplest case. Inspection is completed and no issues found. So that's the ideal situation. We don't need to do anything. Of course, the reality often is different, and this is the full logic that we did. So basically what we are doing, now it comes to the play what I said about those prefixes. So what we start is processing first the question group headers. If the answer to that header and a question within is yes, then we find all questions for that header, and because we use the prefix, we can just do a simple fetch. We don't have to use any relations or anything. We just do a simple fetch and directly fetch all relevant questions, and then we process them. Because that's a repeatable group, so we can have like one or more instances, and we are processing them again in a loop. So we check if we need to create a new function location. If yes, then we create a location, register a new location. We check if we need to create a task. We create a task, and then we loop again through to next instance, or if there's no instance, then we go to a next group of questions. At the end, we check if we need to create a case and also link those created tasks to a case. Notice that we are not talking about the classic field service. This is really like a light level working with the cases and tasks. So this is the summarized logic. In one sentence, the logic that processes. And what is important to understand that this logic is then used to any type of inspection that they created, as long as they follow the rules about the prefixes and naming that we outlined. So if the answer to a group name group header is yes, then we find all question groups and question within those groups that start with the same group name and end with a number, because this is how Resco stores the answers, and we process them using numbers and index to order them. Also, in the output, we use it for ordering on the report. This is the resulting data structure that we end up with. So we have an inspection, which is linked to a questions. In turn, those questions are linked to the task that we have created. And if chosen so by the person doing the inspection, we create a case and link those tasks also to a case. Okay, so what have we achieved with this? We achieved standardized inspection across all facility types that I mentioned, which in turn reduced the manual errors and duplicated logic. So we didn't need to create several flows with hard-coded rules to process. We could do with just basically a standardized flow, which led in turn to faster issue detection and resolution. And we are also using the scalable processing, because Resco, I mean, that's a big bonus with Resco, that it nicely integrates with the Microsoft ecosystem. We can use Resco to collect the data. We can use the Power Automate flows to process the data, CRM as a backend, as an administration. So everything nicely comes together. What does that mean? We had fewer missed issues, a smarter task management, because we can assign tasks directly to the person responsible, which meant less time spent on inspections, so the inspectors can have a coffee. No, just kidding. They basically can go to a next inspection to process more properties, and again, leading to a faster issue resolution. And it nicely integrated with the existing solution at the customer, because they already had Power Automates. They were already familiar with that. The Resco was nice addition that exactly fit their needs to collect the data in the field. What's next for us? Apart from what I heard, I have a lot of ideas already from the keynote, what we can improve, and the new player. But apart from that, we are working with ideas to, let's say, have AI suggestions, so detect issues that are occurring regularly, maybe predict them. Also the smarter report handover, so sending the reports to a tenant, or even maybe create an app for the self-reporting for tenants and businesses, so that they can report the issue, and which again in turn leads to faster issue resolution. And that's basically all from this presentation. If you're interested, we can later meet. I can explain the details of the solution.